So we've got an emotional Nathalia today. Just left the two little ones with Vovo for the next couple of days while we head into São Paulo. First stop is going to be Japan House before we check into the hotel. You might not know, but Brazil, Sao Paulo especially, is home to the largest population of Japanese people outside of Japan, which I was very surprised to find out when I found out. So there's about somewhere between 1.5 and 2 million people of Japanese heritage living in Brazil, with the majority of them being in Sao Paulo. There's an area called Liberdade, which is where the majority of them, when they first came over in the early 1900s, started to set up and formed their community. So we're going to go there. It's like a big Chinatown sort of thing, but it's obviously Japanese. The reason they came over was because there was a slowdown in Italian immigration to Brazil in the early 1900s, and Japan and Brazil governments sort of formed a treaty to allow migration for people to work on the coffee plantations. So that's why the initial influx of Japanese people came over to Brazil. Just a bit of a history corner for you there. So we're just heading to get the train, which, have you figured out yet?
No, not yet. So we'll see when we get there. I think they don't have anyone working there now. So you just have to do everything on the machines.
Oh, okay, well,
Yeah, we'll see.
That's reassuring. So we might end up in Sao Paulo, we might not. So at the hotel now, it's just at the sort of top of Avenida Paulista. We're going to head out shortly to the Teatro Municipal, which is like a big theatre building. It's a very old one. It's now home to like the Symphony Orchestra of Sao Paulo and I think the City Ballet of Sao Paulo. We went to Japan House. I wasn't overly enthused by it, to be honest with you. There was 3 floors. The top floor had mainly a restaurant and a couple of paintings. Second floor was empty because it was like the exhibition space. There was no exhibitions on. Bottom floor, the ground floor that you come in, was basically just the gift shop. So it kind of looks cool from the outside, but I wouldn't overly recommend going because it was pretty rubbish, to be honest with you. Then after the Teatro Municipal, we're going to head to a place called Galeria do Hockey. Hockey is rock. Because in Brazil, you don't pronounce the R as an R. So that's just at the start of a word. If it's an R, then you pronounce it like an H. So, for example, you may know the iconic footballer Ronaldo, the Brazilian one, the original one. His name here is actually Ronaldo. So I was also shocked by that when I first found this out. Ronaldinho, there's another one. Here I am Rian, I'm not Ryan. So there's 3 examples for you, and I'll let you choose who's the better footballer. But anyway, what it is like it's kind of like a shopping centre, but it's not, because it's not enclosed. It's kind of open air in a way. I'm not entirely sure. Natalia's tried to describe it, and I'm not quite grasping it. But we'll find out when we get there. She also said it's quite rough there as well. So, and after that, we're going to head back to the Teatro Municipal because I think in the basement there's like a very posh bar that you have to queue to get into. You can't book a reservation under 5 people, so we're going to try our luck and see if we can get in. So we missed our time slot for the Teatro Municipal. So we just came straight to the Galleria do Hockey. This place is really cool. It's full of like skate shops, metal shops like selling like Iron Maiden t-shirts and stuff, vinyl CDs, loads of tattoo shops, and you got your first one here, eh?
I've got my first tattoo here, yes. I did.
How many years ago now?
18.
A long time ago now. I had a couple of beers in probably the smallest bar I've ever been in my life. But it was really cool. I had loads and loads of beers, but very, very expensive. There's a lot of imported ones. But I had a Brazilian IPA and it was delicious, so I had to.
I had some water. So we came to a place called Sesc, which is just across the road from Galeria do Hockey. It's pretty cool because you can come up to the top, which is 11th floor, and you have nice views from the city center. It's a cultural center. They've got cafe, they've got swimming pool as well, a gym. They've got like fitness classes, expositions as well, a library. They've got loads and loads of things. So it's a pretty cool place. I had never been here, so it's nice.
Just waiting on our friend and Nathalia's best friend, Diego, to come and meet us downstairs, and then we're going to go and wait for the Teatro Municipal bar. What's the bar called?
Bar dos Arcos.
Bar dos Arcos, to open and see if we can get in. Opens at 6 o'clock, so we've got just under an hour to wait. And the bar that we're trying to get into tonight is themed on which film now?
The Shining.
So it wasn't filmed here, it was just themed to it, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Just checking, because Natalia thought they filmed The Shining in São Paulo at this bar. Which they didn't.
It's just inspired.
It's inspired by. We're in the Farol Santander building and we found Diego.
Hi, finally
Tudo
here.
bem?
Tudo bem? Hi, we're finally here. No, I'm finally here. And I brought you guys to know the Farol Santander building. It's a historic building here downtown. It's owned by a huge bank, and it's a cultural center where we have a lot of exhibitions. There's a lot of other surprises that you're gonna see here in the video. So I hope you like it.
So we didn't need to book anything. We just arrived and it was 30 reais per person to go up.
So it gives you access to the whole building essentially. 30 reais is around about a fiver each, so pretty cheap.
You're like a circle that floats around me, keeping me safe and sound. And when I fall, you've tied a rope to me. You're blessing me every day. I was down with an illusion, like a sparrow with broken wings. But now I shine with your reflection on me. I'm getting back up on my feet. That you showed up was written in my bones.
So we're in the Farol Santander building on the 21st floor now, which has got a skate park, which is pretty cool for a skyscraper. And we've just been up to the top. It's got like a cafe, bar sort of area up there. Not the greatest night for having a look around because it's raining and grey and stuff, but it's still very cool. Where are we going now?
We're going to the Bar do Cofre, which means the vault bar. It was built inside the real vault of the bank, so it's a really nice experience.
One look and I breathe. One touch feels skin deep.
day 2 of freedom, and we're going to head back into the city again and do a bit more exploring. Sao Paulo city on its own has a population of about 12 million, but taking into account like the greater metropolitan area, it's got a population of about 22 million. So it's the 4th largest city in the world by population at this point in time. It is just enormous. I can't put into words how big this place is. There's not really any skyscrapers as such compared to other skyscrapers around the world and stuff, but there is a lot of high-rise buildings. We're going to head off to Liberdade today, I think get some lunch there. And there's a coffee shop I want to go to as well that you can put your picture on the coffee, called Coffee Selfie. So we'll have a look there and see how that turns out. And then tonight we're going to head to Edifício Italia, which is a big skyscraper. It's 165 meters tall, so in comparison it's just a little bit over half the height of the Shard. But they've got a viewing deck and stuff there, so we should get nice views of the city. Nathalia booked it for 6 p.m. In the hope that we'll see the sunset, but the forecast isn't looking great, like yesterday. And actually, we've been here for 2 months now. We've got another month left. We booked this couple of days way in advance, and it's literally the only 3 days that it's forecast to rain and be grey and miserable. Sunday, when we're going to be back in Sant Andre, the sun's going to be splitting the pavements again, so sod's law on that one, but it's all good. So just a couple of things on the to-do list today, but I'm sure we'll find other stuff as we're stumbling through the city. So I spoke in Periwibi about the pavements where the driveways and stuff are. We're on an absolutely enormous hill here, and look at the state of these. Like, could you imagine trying to push a buggy or a shopping cart or something up here? It just wouldn't happen.
So we have now a walk around an area called Jardins. It's very nice and posh.
It's very posh.
Very posh. There's a lot of money around here.
Yeah, so Sao Paulo is definitely a city of either proper wealthy or extreme poverty. And Sao Paulo itself is like basically I think 95% of the money that goes through South America goes through Sao Paulo. So you could have on one street someone driving a Lamborghini, and then on the same street someone sleeping in a tent. It's very, very extreme both ways. Natalia's just ordering an Uber, so we're going to head over to Liberdade now. Just had a quick coffee here as well, just to keep it going. This area is probably most like Mayfair, if I was to compare it to somewhere in London. Very, very, very expensive shops here, very exclusive. Too rich for us. Só americano, por favor. Eu mandei uma foto.
Ryan, is this you?
Maybe a few years ago.
Obrigada.
Obrigada.
So just got back to the hotel after spending the afternoon going around the city. So we went to Liberdade, and then from there we went to another one of the Cesc buildings, which we were in yesterday. And this one had a view overlooking the Avenida Paulista. I'm going to tell you more about that later. A couple of things I want to just give you a bit of information on. The buses and tubes and stuff. So the tube for a single fare and a bus for a single fare are the same price. They're 4 reais and 40 centavos. And the Uber, we've taken, I think, 3 so far, and on average it's about 20 reais. The furthest we've been is about 5 kilometres, so that's about £3 for an Uber. The tube, we've just been buying tickets from the machine, but I'm sure there's some sort of Oyster card system here as well, like they've got in London. And with the bus, when you get on, you pay the guy who sits in the middle of the bus with the turnstile. You don't pay the driver, and it's only cash. So if you're going to be in São Paulo, that's the 3 ways we've been getting around, just to give you a bit of an insight. And also there was something I found pretty cool with the bus. There was a sign that said between the hours of 10 p.m. and 5 a.m. Elderly people and women can ask the driver to stop at any point on the route if it's closer to their home. Obviously they're not going to take detours off the route, but if it's on the route, it doesn't have to be a bus stop that the driver will stop at for you. He'll stop where it's more convenient for you, and that's actually law, which I find very, very forward thinking. And I know there's people out there who are going to be, well, men just shouldn't be aggressive and put women in danger and stuff like that, which they absolutely shouldn't. But as the father of two little girls, I like the thought of them being safe when they're at that age, and if they're ever coming here, they're able to do stuff like that. So I'm very impressed with that for one. Okay, so plans changed a little bit last night because of the overcast situation we had with the weather. We rescheduled the visit to Edifício Italia, which they're quite good about doing. They actually advertise it on their website. If it's raining and stuff like that, then you could reschedule your visit. So we're going to come back next week and do that instead. And then we ended up just going down to meet Diego, where he lives, and going to a bar which was right next door to his place, which was really cool. Had a nice burger and some beers and stuff like that. Today we're going to head back over that way. He lives next to something that's called the Minhocão, which means the big worm. So it's a big highway, like an elevated highway. It's about 3 and a bit kilometres long, and they close it over the weekend, and I think every evening as well. So between Friday 8 p.m. until Monday morning 6 a.m. I think are the hours. The road is closed, so you can go running on there, skateboarding, jogging. Basically came into existence in the late 80s. They started off by just closing it on a Sunday. It's to give people a bit of public space, because in São Paulo there isn't really much in terms of parks and stuff like that. So they closed that road so people have got a bit more of an option, a bit more space. People play football up there and just generally have a bit more space to move around in. And then once we've done that, we're going to head back home and give our girls a big hug.
Taking a chance. Telling me to dance, taking a chance. Telling me to dance, taking a chance.
So we've had our few days off, back to normal life again. We just want to summarise the couple of days that we've had. I mean, obviously, Sao Paulo is enormous. It's really, really big. You can't do it all in 2 days. But we're just going to summarise what we did. So, firstly, sort of getting around, it's pretty straightforward, isn't it? Like
It is, yeah.
the tube and stuff. I was surprised at how few people were on it. You were never rushed to get on one. You were never getting crushed inside it. There was always a lot of space. I was quite impressed with it, and it's fairly cheap as well.
Yeah, it was eight reais for the whole day.
Just over
Each.
£1.
Yeah, so it was quite cheap.
Mm.
I know you said that there wasn't a lot of people, but during rush hour,
Yeah.
it can be quite hectic. We didn't use the tube or the buses in those times, but yeah, it can be quite full.
Mm. And then getting an Uber was easy as it is generally anywhere. Buses, we only got on a couple, but they were fairly straightforward as well. So I would give it a thumbs up for getting around Sao Paulo. So eating out, obviously we didn't have a kitchen in the hotel, so we ate out for all of our meals, apart from the breakfast at the hotel, which was quite disappointing actually.
Yeah, it wasn't a great.
Wasn't the best
Yeah, no.
breakfast. It's normally the best part of your stay is the hotel breakfast, but wasn't very good this time. But eating out, for example, when we got there, we had lunch on just off at Avenida Paulista, and I had picanha, which is kind of like a sirloin steak, isn't it?
Yeah.
With chips and everything like that, and it was 45 reais, so under £10 for a steak lunch, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
And generally speaking, that seems to be the sort of average price for what you would pay in the UK. 20 quid for, you'll pay about half price in Sao Paulo. So it's pretty good value, isn't it?
Yeah, and then obviously there are other places that you could go that are much, much more expensive. Avenida Paulista, you have on one side going towards the city centre, so you find cheaper places to eat, and then the other side is the posh side, and it'll be a lot more expensive. We went for dinner, a pizza place. It was amazing. It was really good, but quite expensive. It's not something that.
Yeah, and there was a guy breathing fire outside for half the evening that we were there as well, which was a nice little welcome to Sao Paulo. But no, that pizza was really, really good. What was the name of the place?
Margherita.
Margherita.
Yeah,
like the pizza, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a famous place in São Paulo.
So we had one pizza between us and a bottle of wine, and that was
an expensive bottle of wine.
Yeah, it was about 200 reais or something. No?
250.
Yeah, 250 reais. So that was a more upmarket sort of eatery, if you will. So that would have been around about £30 for one pizza and one bottle of wine, which for here is very expensive.
Yeah. So Avenida Paulista is an amazing place because there's so much going on all the time. It's 2.8 kilometers long, so it's about 1.7 miles, and it's got loads and loads of banks from all around the world. There's headquarters for cultural venues. There's just so much going on, isn't there?
Yeah.
It's estimated that around 1.5 million people walk through Avenida Paulista every single day.
That's mental, isn't it?
Yeah, that is a lot of people.
That's absolutely mental. That's like a third of Scotland walking up that street. It's just one street. That's insane.
But yeah, it's great, but obviously you have to be careful with your things, your belongings, especially mobile phones. We've heard a lot of people saying that it's been common now for boys in bikes just to, cycle past you and grab your phone if you've got your phone, if you're not really paying attention like this. So we try to be careful with that all the time, just kind of looking around when we had our phones out.
Yeah, it was the same on the Minhocão as well. It's basically as soon as we got off the bus, some lady just turned and said to us, "Be careful here because there's robbers." But to be honest with you, I've already said to Nathalia, I didn't really have any sort of genuine fears and stuff in Sao Paulo. Obviously, I didn't want to be cocky about it and wave my phone around and stuff. But as long as you're sensible about it, like for me, trying to make the video, take the phone out, take the video, put it back in your pocket. That's the way you do it.
Yeah.
You don't walk around with it in your hand waiting for the next shot. You just take it out as you need it. And just keep an eye on your surroundings as well. Like on the Minho Cow, it's a rough area, and like underneath, what you don't see underneath that is just the whole way almost, isn't it? It's just people sleeping in tents. Like it's a really, it can be a really rough area, and even during the day, you've got to be careful because, like Natalia said, people can just fly past you on a bike and your phone's gone. So when we were there, I was just making sure there was no one sort of close enough to me that by the time I was taking the video, they could get there. But for me, you've got to, yeah, just keep an eye on your belongings and where you are, and keep a bearing on where you are.
Yeah, and I think at night it depending where we were. When we had to go back to the hotel or go somewhere else, then we were taking an Uber.
Yeah, because it's so cheap, isn't it? It's not worth.
Yeah, because in the city center, it can get quite rough, especially during the night. So we just opted by going around, especially in the evenings with an Uber.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll wrap that up today. It's been a longer video, but Sao Paulo is a huge city and I needed a huge video. So I hope you've enjoyed that. I hope it's been informative for you. And like I said, we're going to go back to Edifício Italia this week, so that'll be in the next video.
If the weather's alright.
Yeah, if the weather's all right. But let's hope that it's going to be good.